So, congratulations, new debut album, Gravity. What's the feeling of releasing that finally after 2 years?
It's a great feeling. I mean, a lot of work, time and work it was spent on it. It's kind of more of a relief than anything. It was like I kind of like a year and a half, 2 years ago, sort of decided like I'm gonna go ahead and do this debut album. I did not know how hard it was gonna be. Like I just kind of like set it in the air, like, oh yeah, I'll put out an album, and then I didn't realize, the amount of work that went into it. But I'm super proud of it, and I'm really happy to finally have it out, and the feedback on it's been great so far, so it's been exciting.
Yeah, speaking of that feedback, you've had some great responses to the music coming out. How is it like seeing your Billboard up in New York? What was that like?
It was pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie, because when I first started making this music and project, I was living in New York, so it's kind of like an extra special icing on the cake, I guess, with the Times Square Billboard. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and from your college days, just making music in your dorm room to seeing yourself on a billboard and making a debut album, what is it like looking back and looking at where you are now?
That's a great question. It's honestly insane. I mean, when I was studying in college, like I was studying electrical engineering, like I totally thought I was gonna end up living in Northern California, working for a tech company and just doing like laboratory stuff. And music was like my outlet, my creative outlet when I was in school. I've always loved music my whole life, but that was like really when I started falling in love with dance music and producing it. And to my goal at that time was like, I hope my friends will play my music at apartment parties. Like that was like the ceiling at the time. And to think of like where it's gone from that moment until now, I actually haven't even thought about that for a while. So it's kind of cool to like think about that. And I'm just so proud of what has been able to be done so far, and so proud of the team for really feeling like everything's coming together right now. And it's just been a great like year or two.
Well, that's quite the difference between playing, in your friend's apartment versus playing at Coachella. So, can you describe what it was like playing at Coachella? You went twice, so
Right.
how was the first time? How was the second time?
It was insane. Yeah, Coachella is, I mean, especially being from California, like Coachella is always like the big festival. I feel like everybody kind of feels that way about Coachella, but specifically me being from California, it was like a huge milestone thing. I think the first time I played, I was almost like just so shocked and almost overwhelmed, but like grateful obviously for the opportunity. But this time coming around, it felt like I was a little bit more ready for it. I've been doing the festival stuff for a couple years, and a lot more music of my own had come out by the time the second Coachella came around. But it was still obviously as exciting as the first one too, because it's like the craziest festival ever. But yeah, both experiences were awesome, and hopefully we'll be able to go back again one day. So
Yeah, I'm sure you will be. And with playing at Coachella and doing concerts, doing tours, what do you think you enjoy the most, and what do you really get out of tour, and what are you looking forward to with it?
I think the best part about touring is really just connecting with the fans, because I mean you can kind of connect with them online and stuff for sure, like through messages and whatnot, but nothing is as like impactful to me as like seeing the people in the crowd and meeting them before and after shows, and just like playing the music, seeing them sing it back and all that kind of stuff. Like that connection is by far the best part about touring. And the camaraderie is fun too. Like everybody on the bus gets along, and it's like a summer camp kind of vibe. And so with all your like best friends. So, but yeah, I guess those are the two biggest things about tour.
Yeah, and with the artists that you work with, what is your approach for when you're trying to remix a song, or what do you look for in those songs and production-wise, and what artists are you looking to work with in the future?
Yeah, I mean for the remix stuff, you mean me remixing other artists? Yeah, I mean a lot of times I like to look at where like what the artist is doing with their career and where they are, like if I'm really particularly inspired by their project and what they're doing. And also it's really about the song. Like does the song speak to me emotionally, and do I feel like I can do it justice and kind of like flip it into my own style? So there's always like different factors that are involved, but I always usually feel really connected to the artist and what they're doing, specifically before I like go ahead and do a remix for them. And then I'm sorry, what was your other question?
What artists are you looking to work with in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on to be honest. But some like in terms of the dance world, I would love to do something with like Calvin Harris is like my favorite dance music producer. Disclosure would be really cool. In terms of like artist, like singer songwriter type, I mean, I really like Kiana Lede. I Lord obviously would be crazy. Like just getting in the studio with someone like Sam Smith, who just got like the most insane voice. Yeah, I could go on and on. But there's a lot.
For sure. And with your fans and connecting with them, are there any special feelings you get when you're on tour, when you look at someone in the crowd singing the songs that you worked so hard on? What is the feeling and what is the accomplishment like, getting that connection with the fans and just seeing them finally enjoy your debut album?
That is seeing that live is the best feeling because like I said on like DMs and stuff, it could be one thing when they like it means a lot to me through the messages for sure, but like seeing somebody react to something like in real time and even when like Neil, my videographer, plays back like footage of people that are like crying or holding their significant others at the shows to my music, it like really hits me pretty hard because it's like it feels so good to have put in so much time and energy on the music, like the creation of it, and I'm obviously like proud of it, but to see how it can impact other people is like the most rewarding thing, is that like the music that I'm making and creating is like impacting someone on that sort of level. So to see that in real time is really affecting in the best way possible.
For sure. And, what's a set list looking like tonight? Are we going to hear that whole debut album, or what songs are you most excited to perform?
Yeah, I mean, mostly you're going to hear the entire debut album. Maybe a couple songs aren't in it, but some of the old school remixes from my earlier era. A lot of, like, flips on some of the album stuff. Like, I'll play the original, but then I'll flip into something else kind of crazy. But yeah, it's going to be like a really fun show. I'm super proud of this show. I definitely think, like, without a doubt, this is the best Gryffin live experience I've had to date. And so the past 2 weeks already on this tour, I've been absolutely crazy, and I'm looking forward to tonight. It's my first time here, so I'm very excited.
Welcome to Omaha then.
I know, yeah. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, when you talk about your old and new sound, what do you think you're going for right now? Because, with Body Back, you kind of said, oh, this is kind of some OG Gryffin. So what do you think about your sound right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always wanted to make, like, uplifting and emotional dance music. And earlier on in my career, I was doing more, like, house-based stuff and kind of went more, like, future-based, like, type of, like, swingy type music. But I think I'm kind of like enjoying going back to like kind of both and toggle both, because it's just fun for me as a creative to kind of switch things up. And yeah, as long as in terms of like the next step for my sound, I'm still kind of like figuring all that stuff out. But as long as it's giving me like an emotional connection and it's something that I feel is uplifting and sort of like, makes people want to like conquer the world and like, I don't know, as long as it's melodic and beautiful in that regard, then I'm going to be really proud of putting it out. So,
well, it's your first time in Omaha. It's a sold-out show tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. We cannot wait to hear it live.